Good afternoon, everybody at home. It's grade 7 theory time, Thursday, March 4th, I believe. All right, we are moving on to chords. Chords. All right, so, like with anything, I strongly suggest that while you do your work, you try to listen.
Sorry, you almost hit me.
You try to listen to the work that you do, okay? Especially when you're at home. It's not always possible when you're doing an exercise in your workbook, right? You won't be able to get the benefit of hearing it. But when you're at home, please try to do this on a keyboard of some kind. So, sound number 1. David, tell me something about what you hear.
Major chord.
What makes you say that?
Because someone's happy, not sad, or...
There's something else to a major chord.
Very, very good. Okay. Ben, tell me something else about this
When I
sound.
talk about major, minor chord, that was major chord, major third, minor third, and then minor third, major chord. Something like that.
Excellent. A lot more detail. So what David was telling us is the quality of the sound. Quality. Happy, sad. Other things sound scary or mysterious, right? Whereas Ben told us more of a kind of how is this sound made up, technically speaking? Like, you know, it's made up of intervals, right? It's made up of notes, combinations of notes. So he mentioned a few thirds, right? Different thirds. Along Ben's line of thinking, tell me something else about this sound. The construction of this. Ben mentioned some thirds and stuff. What else can you add to that? What else can you add to that? Judy.
The notes are the root, third, and fifth.
Very, very good. This chord is in root position. It's in root position where the bottom note being the root, the middle note, the third, and then the fifth. They are very close together, aren't they, Tiago? Very different from, let's say, this. It's still the same chord. It's still David sounds happy, right? It still has some of the intervals that Ben told us about, but all the notes are slightly rearranged, right?
You can tell the difference between the first inversion and the second inversion. You can hear that. The first inversion, you hear the do, mi, and then you can hear so. Well, kind of, it's mi, so. You can hear the inversion between the first inversion. It's like, with the first inversion, you can hear the mi, so, do.
Yes.
You can hear that it's mi, so. You can hear that you can see the bottom two notes, and then you can hear the higher note, but then with the second inversion here, a larger gap between the first two notes, and then a smaller gap between the last two notes.
Everything you say is true. We're going to cover inversions on a different day, but absolutely. The way that you hear the individual distances between notes changes depending on what their position is. So, the very first sound that you heard was this. Where all three notes, that's another characteristics of most chords, is that there is at least 3 notes. At least 3 notes. You can have chords that have many more notes included, 4 notes, 5 notes, etc. Sometimes you don't get a lot of information, and sometimes a chord only has 2 notes. And so it becomes a little bit more difficult to assess, given the limited information. What am I looking at? When you see just C and E, for instance. Well, that sounds like a major third, right? Okay, so you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's a C major, that's part of a C major triad. But Neil, what else could it be?
I don't know.
C, D, A. It could be a part of a minor triad. You're not sure, and it depends on what else is happening around it, before it and after it, right? So given less information, it becomes a little bit more tricky to determine what chord am I looking at, what's the quality of the chord, is it happy or sad, right?
I totally forgot what it's called when there were 3 notes. Is that a triad scale? A triad?
Well, I mean, like when people say the word chord, that's a very general word. A chord that has 3 notes is a triad. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Or you're thinking of something else, Kellen?
And it's like the do mi so
Uh-huh.
triad. Oh.
Well, like, we'll do this another time, but maybe you're thinking of like a tonic triad or a dominant triad. Like there's qualifiers that you add to the word triad that specify a certain position in the scale, you know? Okay, so what I wanted just to impart to you guys was that we're going to be dealing mostly with close position triads. So one note after the other. B, D sharp, F sharp. All the notes are spaced out very close to one another. However, I just wanted to tell you that you can have your root down at the bottom. You can have your, maybe an F sharp, like an octave and a half higher than that, and maybe your D sharp is a little bit higher than that. So in other words, spread out, right? You can have a chord that is, a triad that is spread out. Right, so spanning a very large distance across a vocal range or a keyboard, it's still called the same thing. This is a B major triad. This is also a B major triad. Okay, so we're not going to do inversions today. One thing, I'm going to create a little table for you guys. You know how we did like the 2 steps for intervals?
Yeah.
This table is going to be critical for you guys to put to memory, I think. Where does Ms. Marszewska have erasers?
She doesn't use the chalkboard.
Yeah, she does.
Barely. She uses
Yeah,
the
that's
chalk.
what we use.
Okay, so we covered this kind of sound. Major triad. So R stands for root. This stands for the third. This will stand for the third, and that's for the fifth. Okay? The root of the triad going to the third of the triad. Third of the triad going to the fifth of the triad. We're going to use what Ben told us. In a major triad, the distance between the first note, the root, going to the third, is a major third. How many semitones does a major third have, Mateo?
5.
Not that many.
4.
I'll just call it 4 half steps, 4 HS. Okay? And then Ben told us that the distance between the third and the fifth, do you remember, Aiden?
Third and the fifth, isn't it 2?
Was my question. Do you remember what the interval was between your...
Major second? No, B. B sharp. So that's
So B to D sharp was a major third, D sharp to F sharp?
major third. No.
That's not what Ben said. Eugen, what did Ben say?
Minor. Oh,
Thank you, Eugen.
which is 3.
Minor third.
And then minor third. That's what you said.
3 half steps. All right. This is where using your keyboard, guys, is critical. All right? If you weren't sure, let's say you're given a B to start. You know that's the root of your triad. And the question is, Timothy, put your mask on. And the question is, build me a major triad starting from B. And you're like, well, I don't, B's got a lot of sharps. Let's say you don't have your circle of fifths handy or something, you know? All right? So, but you do know that there are, in the pattern, there's a major third between the root and the third. So that's 4 semitones. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So D sharp. Then you work your way up. There's my D sharp on the other side here. Another 3 semitones because it's a minor third. 1, 2, 3, F sharp. See how easy that is? See how easy that is. And we could do this a different way. I think this is the easiest way. I'm showing you the easiest way I can think of on constructing a triad. In this case, a major triad. The way you could also do it is by using key signatures, right? You could say to yourself, okay, well, major triad is the tonic chord of B major, and I know that that's a major triad, right? As long as I apply all the right notes from the key signature, I'm good. I think this is easy. Questions?
That's what you wrote there. It's the same pattern for every type of major triad, right?
Yes.
So for
Therefore, you can literally start on any note that you can imagine, right? So start on something a little more unusual, C flat, for instance, right? And at first you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not really quite sure what that is, right? One other step that I think we should mention here, before you start going to the keyboard and counting up your semitones, and this will get you pretty much half marks. Kind of like step 1 for intervals was just determine the distance, count the distance between the 2 notes, right? For any triad, at the very least, give me the other 2 letters, right? All you got to do is skip and a skip. Okay, Timothy? Timothy. Right? Then you'll need to figure out, is this E natural, is it E flat, is it E sharp, what? Right? G, G flat, G nat. You know what I mean? At least get this far, okay? So then, if I'm on C flat, which happens to be a V over here again, right? Then I count up 4 semitones. 1, 2, 3, 4. E flat. E flat to 3 semitones. 1, 2, 3. G flat. Right? And G flat happens to be the same sound as B major. C flat, E flat, G flat.
And harmonic equivalent.
Absolutely. Okay, any questions so far? I saw some other hands up there. Eugen, did you have your hand up?
No, I
Okay. All right. The other most typical sound that you probably hear.
Minor.
The minor triad, right? The minor triad has a slightly different arrangement of thirds. C to E flat, count the semitones. Minor third. Therefore 3 half steps. Followed by a major third. 4 half steps. Any major scale has a combination of major triads or minor triads. So in key of, let's say, G major, you have major to start. That's starting on G. That's a little sadder, that's minor. Sad, happy, happy, sad. And then the last one, is this minor or is this major, Callum? Is it major or minor?
you have 2 options, guys, major or minor.
It's minor.
Well, it's not
No, it's
major,
not
so
diminished because it's
minor, I guess. Unless it's neither of those.
It is neither.
It's diminished. I was gonna say it's diminished. Because the fifth, yeah. That's right.
That's right. Sorry, Callum, trick question. Okay, so the next triad type.
Different thing that they call.
The next triad type. Something funny going on with the keyboard. Okay, not quite sad. I don't know how you would describe this.
Diminished.
Richard, how would you describe the sound? I know it's diminished triad, but
It's like an A right now.
how would you
I actually have no clue.
describe it?
That's scary.
Not really.
Okay.
It's dramatic.
You know,
I like that word. I like that word.
In the drama sound effects, they use the diminished chords.
Yep, absolutely. It's rather dramatic, isn't it? Okay, so the diminished. Okay, copy that down, please. Copy that down. Oh, I thought you guys were copying this whole time. This is like the table that you need to memorize.
Hey guys.
Mental, it's a mental table.
I need to come back to you. Ben, I'm not done yet. I'm not done.
Ja, det finns jag tror mental.
I'm not done there, Aiden.
I forgot my theory.
Aiden.
I know.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I forgot my theory book.
Sit down, please. Sit down. Sit down.
We should probably keep that out. It's gonna get demonetized. Yeah, thanks a lot. Aiden, the video's gonna get demonetized. What did he say? He's getting demonetized. He said, yeah, well, I'll be fixed.
Sit down quickly, please. Okay. Let's start on a B. Mateo, help me out with my two minor thirds here.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
So what I'd like to do is I'd like to build a diminished triad. Cole, I'd like to build a diminished triad. So based on my table there, a diminished triad from the root, which is B, is up a minor third and then up another minor third. So help me out here.
So,
What should I add first? Let's say step one. Please turn the volume off. Please turn the volume. It's too much to compete with other sound. Just turn it down, please. Mute it. Sorry, Mateo. The very first thing that I suggested you do to get half marks.
is go up the minor third.
No, that's more specific. Ethan, just add the two skips first. Okay, Mateo? So a skip above B is a D of some kind, and a skip above D is F. Okay? So this gives you pretty much half marks. Then you just got to work out whether or not those letters, you need to adjust anything, right? Okay, so now, give me my minor third between my bottom note and my middle note. Do I need to make any adjustment between these letters here?
I think it's supposed to be a D flat.
A D flat, okay? And then,
And F. I think we need to go,
I need another minor third.
oh, I don't know, F flat?
Did you count semitones on your imaginary keyboard?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Richard. Evaluate.
Like, sir?
What happened? How many semitones is B to D flat, Ethan? Pardon me, Richard? Yeah, it's only 2. There's not enough, Mateo. So B, Mateo, 1, 2, 3. So it just brings you up to D natural.
but I thought minor.
Right? Minor third is only 3 semitones. This is where math, you need to keep 2 things very distinct in your heads. When you're counting the distance between 2 notes, because you want to find out the interval, right? Like you're thinking, you see a C and an A, like C, A, you see that. You count the distance between those letters. 1 is always the starting letter, right? 1 is always the starting letter. D is 2, E is 3, right? But when you're counting semitones, and you're saying, okay, from B up 3 semitones, what is that? Please don't say 1, 2. Do you know what I mean? You start 1. Move to the right first. That's your number 1. See how it's different from counting letters? Nathaniel? Does that make sense? The difference between counting letters and counting half steps? Okay, good. All right, so just take that away. And then you quickly realize that if you have a D natural, F is also 3 semitones away, right? All right, let's do a few examples out of your exercise book, because for homework, I just want to see that you're able to construct some diminished triads. Oh, sure.
I'm assuming it's both major, but yeah.
There aren't a lot of other choices, are there?
No. Well, I know that diminished is usually the opposite of augmented, so yeah.
Augmented. Major third. 4 half steps. Major third. 4 half steps. I present to you the augmented triad.
See, in months the results of
It gets used actually quite often. I've noticed in the piano books. These types of chords. It makes a kind of a, oh, for me it's kind of like mysterious. I don't know what word you would use. Cole, what word would you use to describe this sound?
I don't know why, like puzzled or something.
Good word.
I think Inspector Gadget. That's what
Yeah, like
Oh, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though it has nothing to do with Inspector Gadget.
61, guys. Page 61. Page 61. We'll do 3 in treble clef and 3 in bass clef. And then we're going to stop with the chord work. And just want to run over maybe 1 or 2 examples of transposition for tomorrow's quiz.
This is my chord chart.
Okay, so we just did BDF. Remember, at this point, we're just using root position triads. Root position, right? When you're in root position, everything is always just a third away or a skip away. So if your root is a B, then a skip and a skip, and you're done. I present to you B diminished, Ethan.
So
That's good.
Wow.
So much wow.
Okay. Next. Okay, Patrick. Step one, just like if you had a bunch of letters, right? If I wrote out my letters here like D. First things first. I'll give you basically half marks if you do the next step. What is it?
Skip.
Skip and
Skip.
you got it. Okay, so now you have to determine whether or not what you wrote in is enough, or does the middle, the third, or the fifth need to be altered in some way? Because the pattern has to be followed. Diminished, I need a minor third and a minor third. Okay, so now use your keyboard. Logan, you don't have your exercise book, do you?
Oh yeah, that's kind of true.
I have that.
This is homework, so I'm not sure why you wouldn't have your workbooks out. I'm basically providing you with the answers.
On page 16.
You don't have your workbook?
Oh, no, I'm taking notes.
Okay, but you don't have your workbook here?
What page?
Okay.
What have it here?
Well, why don't you have it open and then you can copy the answers?
Oh, I don't know.
Page 61. And fix your mask, please, Timothy. Okay, so is this enough? Nate? What do I need to change? Right now, I don't have a sound that's very diminished. The top note there? Well, yeah, I could probably change the top note, but I risk. I'm not picking on Mateo here, but if you choose the wrong middle note, then it will affect the top note. You know what I mean? Like if you don't get that first interval correct, then unfortunately it affects the next one. You know what I mean?
That hurts.
Sorry, Mateo.
No, I think.
So Nate, I would prefer that you didn't start with the top note. Look at the first note, the root, and the third, and determine if that's a minor third or not. You need a keyboard to do that. JD? While he's looking for his keyboard, would you tell me if this is enough? Is E to G a minor third? It is, absolutely. Minor third? Okay, so since that's a minor third, that's so far so good, okay? Nate, now continue. Look at the middle note, up to the top note. Is that a minor third?
No.
What do I need to do to adjust it?
B flat.
Exactly. That is your answer. E, G, B flat. Okay?
That's literally the second answer.
That's what he's giving us.
Okay, one more. Okay, the next one starts with a,
Slovenia.
starts with F sharp. Go ahead, Martin.
Can I do this one?
Sure.
Okay. I think I'm right, but I think it's just A and C.
Peter, how am I supposed to concentrate when you do that?
So I think it's just A and C.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be a good first step. Martin's already skipped ahead a few things here by already saying that's enough, right? So he probably had to do a little quick assessment. F sharp to A, minor third, check. A to C, minor third. Complete. Okay? All right, bass clef. We got ourselves an F.
So I have glass in my finger. Can I go to the bathroom?
Glass in your finger.
Uh,
and then
Oh my
go
God.
over.
Screen protector.
Yeah, I'll be second. Here.
Are
Oh
you
my god.
are you bleeding?
I'm a little bit bleeding, but then get the glasses.
Okay, so why don't you go rinse it and then go to the office and get it clean.
Yeah, better.
All right, moving on. William. Hello. All right, I've got an F in bass clef. I want a diminished triad. I want this sound. How do I get there? Lead me to the diminished promised land. Step 1 should be the easy part. What was the first step that I suggested you should do before anything else?
Sorry.
Samuel, would you please help William remember?
The first step is like finding your chord.
Sure.
I guess like there's a it's like kind of like the three house.
That's true. That's true. That's kind of that's the step after the step I'm thinking.
First step is playing.
In order to get half marks, Nathaniel, what should you do? Cole?
You do the 3 notes on top.
Yeah.
2 notes on top.
Just give me the 2 skips, right?
Yeah, the 2 skips. That's them.
Right, William? Just give me the A and the C. This will get you half marks, pretty much. Okay? Now Samuel, we do what you want to do. Okay? Now determine, okay, what's the distance between that bottom note and that middle note? Is that a minor third? If not, you need to make an adjustment. Right? Okay, so do I need to make a change here at this point? So is F to A a minor third? It isn't. That's too many semitones. There's 4 half steps in that.
So Ben, you should go to the office.
No, it's not. You just
This question is augmented.
finger. That's not. It's like a bump from the finger. Oh
It
my
says
god.
right augmented. Isn't that for security?
Creating what? Guys, I can't hear. Go ahead, Samuel. You got it. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone from F major, in fact, to F minor, but I want more. I want diminished. Nate.
I think it's augmented. It says right now augmented.